The massive chamber of the Galactic Council falls silent, as Ambassador Marcus Reynolds stands alone at the center of the circular floor. 200 alien representatives from across the known galaxy stare down at him from their elevated positions, their expressions ranging from curious to hostile. The council chamber, a vast dome of impossible architecture hanging in orbit around Centauri Prime, glows with bioluminescent light that shifts between deep blues and purples. Marcus forces himself to breathe normally despite the crushing pressure of being the first human to address the full council. The air feels thick with tension and the faint scent of alien biochemistry. Behind his calm exterior, his heart pounds against his ribs. Humanity stands accused of violating Galactic Treaty 459, Section 12, unauthorized experimentation on sentient life forms, announces High Counselor Vexilon, his 8 eyes blinking in sequence. His translucent skin reveals the complex network of neural pathways pulsing beneath. The Empire's colony on Proxima b was destroyed in what appears to be a deliberate attack originating from Earth space. The accusations hang in the air as a holographic display activates above the chamber floor, showing the smoking ruins of alien structures and bodies scattered across an unfamiliar landscape. Marcus remains composed despite the weight of accusation. With respect, High Counselor, Earth demands evidence before judgment. We have not attacked anyone. Evidence? A ripple of indignant murmurs sweeps through the chamber. Admiral Thrax of the Orion Collective rises, towering 3 meters tall with metallic exoskeletal armor. Our nursery ships containing 5,000 juvenile citizens were destroyed when passing through your solar system's outer rim. Our distress signals were ignored. Earth received no such signals, Marcus counters, activating a holographic display from his wristband, and our defense grid shows no record of any ships entering our system on the date in question. Lies, roars Thrax, slamming a massive clawed appendage on the railing. The Empire demands retribution. Quarantine their system. Sterilize their colonies. The chamber erupts in shouts of agreement, but Marcus remains unmoved. He taps another sequence into his wristband, and suddenly the central display of the chamber flickers. The room falls silent as footage appears, showing not human attackers but Empire warships firing on their own nursery vessels. What deception is this? Vexilon hisses, his voice echoing through the suddenly quiet chamber. Not deception, but truth, Marcus responds. This footage was captured by an automated research drone in the Kuiper Belt. The Empire staged this attack to manufacture a cause for war. Before Vexilon can respond, the human ambassador's communication device chimes. His face pales as he reads the message. I've just received word that 3 Earth colonies have been attacked simultaneously. Orbital bombardments, civilian targets, his voice cracks. The death toll already exceeds 1 million. There are children's hospitals specifically targeted. The council chamber falls into shocked silence. It seems, Marcus says, his voice now cold steel, that the Empire didn't wait for your judgment, Counselor. He straightens his shoulders and looks directly at Thrax. You killed our children. Consider this humanity's formal declaration of war against the Galaxy Empire. As Marcus turns to leave, the council erupts in chaos. What none of them yet realize is that humanity has been preparing for this moment for decades, and the Galaxy Empire has grievously underestimated what humans are capable of when their children are threatened. 2 days later, on the bridge of the EDS Vigilant, Admiral James Porter watches as the reports continue to stream in from the attacked colonies. The images from New Eden, humanity's largest off-world settlement, show buildings reduced to smoking craters. Medical teams pull bodies from the rubble, many of them small. Status report, Porter demands, his weathered face tight with controlled rage. Commander Olivia Drake, his executive officer, steps forward. All Earth Defense Forces are at full alert. Colonial militia have mobilized. The lunar shipyards have accelerated production of the prototype vessels. Porter nods. And Project Lazarus? Ready for deployment, sir. The quantum phase generators are operational on all stealth vessels. For 20 years, humanity had quietly prepared for this possibility. After first contact with the galactic community, Earth's Unified Defense Council recognized their technological disadvantage and devoted enormous resources to developing asymmetric capabilities. While publicly presenting as a minor spacefaring civilization, humans had been embedding quantum-linked defense networks throughout their solar system. The Empire expects us to cower, Porter says, staring at the tactical display showing the Galaxy Empire's vast territory spreading across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. They think we'll beg for mercy or offer concessions. They don't understand humans very well, Drake observes. No, Porter agrees grimly. They don't. The Admiral activates the ship-wide communication system. His voice will carry to every human vessel in the solar system. All ships, this is Admiral Porter. As you know, the Galaxy Empire has committed an act of war against Earth and her colonies. They targeted our children, believing it would break our will to fight. He pauses, his voice thick with emotion. They were wrong. Humanity does not surrender when our children are threatened. We do not negotiate with those who target the innocent. We fight. Throughout the solar system, military personnel listen in grim silence. The Empire believes us weak. They believe our technology primitive. They believe their numbers overwhelming. Porter's voice hardens. We will prove them wrong on all counts. Operation Lazarus is now in effect. All ships to battle stations. May God have mercy on our enemies, because we shall not. As the transmission ends, the Vigilance engines power up. Throughout Earth's solar system, previously hidden defense platforms activate. On Mars, massive hangar doors open to reveal fleets of ships unlike anything the Galactic Council has ever seen. The Empire's intelligence reports had missed much about humanity's true capabilities. They had not understood that humans are at their most dangerous when protecting their young. They had not grasped that humankind's greatest strength has always been its ability to innovate when faced with extinction. 3 days later, Empire scanners detect a massive fleet emerging from slipspace near Jupiter. The Galaxy Empire launches what they believe will be a decisive first strike against Earth. A fleet of 100 warships, each capable of reducing a continent to ash, forms up for the attack. Supreme Commander Zolkarath of the Imperial flagship feels a moment of confusion as his sensors detect minimal defenses around Earth. Where are their ships? He demands. Scan for orbital platforms. His subordinate responds. Scans show minimal orbital defenses, Commander. Their planetary shield technology is primitive. This will be over quickly. Zolkarath smiles, revealing rows of crystalline teeth. Prepare to launch first wave of... His orders are cut short as space itself seems to fold around his ship. 20 of their warships suddenly find themselves on collision courses with each other. Before the Empire can reorient their weapons, the human fleet decloaks not near Earth as expected, but surrounding the Imperial Armada in a 3-dimensional web formation. The Galaxy Empire had killed Earth's children. Now humanity would show them exactly what kind of enemy they had created. The war had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Admiral Lyra Donovan stands on the bridge of the EDS Resilient, the first of Earth's prototype quantum phase vessels. Unlike the massive Imperial ships, the human vessels are small, nimble, and nearly invisible to standard detection systems. Her face is illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays as she watches the Empire fleet emerge from slipspace near Jupiter. All ships maintain stealth protocols, Lyra orders, her voice steady despite the stakes. Let them think they have the element of surprise. Commander Jackson at Tactical Operations nods. The Empire fleet is moving into standard attack formation. They're charging weapons, Lyra's eyes narrow. They're so confident they don't even bother with scanning beyond basic protocols. She taps her neural interface. All ships prepare to execute Operation Lazarus. Throughout the solar system, hundreds of stealth satellites activate simultaneously. The fabric of space-time around the Empire fleet begins to distort subtly. On the Imperial flagship, Supreme Commander Zolkarath feels a moment of unease. Why haven't they deployed defensive measures? Scan for orbital platforms. His subordinate responds. Scans show minimal orbital defenses, Commander. Their planetary shield technology is primitive. This will be over quickly. Zolkarath hesitates. Something doesn't feel right. Launch first wave of... His orders are cut short as space itself seems to fold around his ship. The gravity lenses have activated, creating localized distortions that confuse the Imperial navigation systems. 20 of their warships suddenly find themselves on collision courses with each other. Impossible, Zolkarath roars as his technicians scramble to compensate. That's when the human fleet decloaks, not near Earth as expected, but surrounding the Imperial Armada in a 3-dimensional web formation. Before the Empire can reorient their weapons, The human vessels fire synchronized pulses of energy that aren't designed to destroy hulls but to penetrate shields and disrupt neural interfaces. The Empire relies on semi-organic technology, a fact humanity has studied extensively. The quantum pulses sever the connection between ship and crew, leaving the massive vessels temporarily paralyzed. All targets neutralized, reports Commander Jackson. Minimal casualties on both sides. Open a channel to their flagship, Lyra orders. Zol Karath's enraged face appears on screen. This is impossible. You're a primitive species. You don't have this technology. Lyra's response is measured. We're not primitive, Commander. We're patient. And unlike you, we don't believe in unnecessary casualties. As she speaks, Earth's true defensive capabilities reveal themselves. From Mars, Europa, and scattered bases throughout the asteroid belt, thousands of smaller vessels emerge, surrounding the disabled Empire fleet. Return to your Empire with a message. Lyra continues. We didn't want this war. You forced it upon us by attacking our children. We are giving your crews their lives today, but this mercy is a one-time offering. The next time you enter our system, there will be no survivors. The revelation stuns the galactic community. Humanity isn't just fighting back, they're winning, and doing so without the wholesale slaughter that has characterized the Empire's conquest for centuries. Back on Earth, the Defense Council meets in their underground headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains. The massive chamber, carved from solid granite, houses representatives from every major nation and colony. The atmosphere is tense but determined. President Alvarez, a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that have seen too much death already, addresses the assembly. The first phase of Operation Lazarus was successful. The Empire's initial attack has been repelled with minimal loss of life on both sides. We should have destroyed them all, argues General Santos, his face scarred from an earlier conflict. They showed no mercy to our colonists. And that's precisely why we didn't, Alvarez counters. We're not fighting just to win a war, but to show the galaxy there's a better way. The Empire rules through fear, will demonstrate their strength and restraint. Dr. Eliza Wright, the civilian scientist who pioneered Earth's gravitic manipulation technology, steps forward. The quantum phase drives performed better than expected. The Empire has no defense against them. What's our next move? Asks Director Ryan of Intelligence Services. The Empire won't stay stunned for long. President Alvarez activates the central holographic display, showing the known galaxy with Empire territories highlighted in red. Phase 2 begins now. Operation Infiltration. For years, human agents have been surgically altered to pass as various alien species. Using advanced genetic manipulation, they've been slowly embedded throughout the Empire's key facilities. With the war now open, these deep cover agents will become humanity's greatest weapon. Our agents are in position, Director Ryan explains. They've been gathering intelligence on the Empire's defenses, command structures, and, most importantly, their actual technological capabilities. What have they discovered? Asks General Santos. Ryan's expression is grim but satisfied. The Empire's technological advantage isn't what they've led the galaxy to believe. Much of it is stolen, reverse-engineered from an ancient alien repository they discovered centuries ago. They've been claiming these innovations as their own, while suppressing technological development among their subject worlds. This revelation sends murmurs of shock through the Council. The Empire's technological superiority has been the foundation of their dominance. There's more, Ryan continues. The repository contained warnings about a threat that destroyed its creators, a threat the Empire has ignored in their quest for power. What kind of threat? Alvarez asks sharply. We don't know yet. Our agents are still working to access those records. But whatever it is, the Empire's leaders know about it and have kept it secret from even their own people. As the Council deliberates their next steps, across the galaxy, the Imperial Palace on Drexoria Prime buzzes with furious activity. Emperor Draxer, his crystalline form pulsing with angry red light, has summoned his war council. How were they prepared? The Emperor thunders, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. How did they defeat our most powerful fleet? Grand Strategist Kell, ancient even by the Empire's standards, speaks carefully. The humans have technology we didn't know about, Your Radiance. They've been hiding their true capabilities. Impossible! Draxer slams a crystalline appendage against his throne, shattering part of it. Our intelligence said they were primitive. Our intelligence was wrong, Intelligence Director Mira admits. And worse, we have detected anomalies in our secure facilities. There are signs of infiltration. The Emperor's light dims to a dangerous deep purple. Humans inside our facilities? We believe so, Your Radiance. Using advanced biological modifications to pass as various species. The extent of the infiltration is concerning. Meanwhile, on the Empire's military research station orbiting the gas giant Zoraxis, Dr. Thomas Reed carefully checks his appearance in a reflective surface. To anyone observing, he appears to be a perfect Zoraxian scientist. 6 limbs, iridescent scales, and compound eyes. In reality, he's a human operative who has undergone extensive genetic modification. Cellular degradation at 25%, warns the AI embedded in his neural implant. Estimated time to detection, 12 hours. I only need 6, Thomas subvocalizes, his modified vocal cords allowing him to speak both English and perfect Zoraxian simultaneously. He accesses the facility's central database, his genetically modified fingers interfacing directly with the crystalline computing matrix. After 3 years of deep cover, he's finally reached his primary objective, the Empire's weapons development program. What he discovers sends a chill through him despite his modified biology. The Empire is developing planet-killer weapons using technology from the ancient repository, weapons specifically designed to bypass Earth's newfound defenses. Copy complete, his AI confirms. Initiating data transmission. The encrypted signal travels through quantum-entangled particles, impossible to detect or intercept. Back on Earth, Director Ryan receives the data personally. Mr. President, he says urgently, interrupting the ongoing Defense Council meeting. We have a problem. The Empire is accelerating development of a superweapon. As the details appear on the central display, the Council members fall silent. The weapon could theoretically tear apart the fabric of space-time itself, creating a cascading reaction that would obliterate not just Earth, but the entire solar system. How long do we have? President Alvarez asks, her voice steady despite the existential threat. According to our agent, 3 months until the prototype is complete. Alvarez looks around the table at the representatives of humanity. Then we have less than 3 months to stop them. Phase 3 of Operation Lazarus begins now. We're taking the fight directly to the Empire. What no one yet realizes, not the humans, not even Emperor Draxer himself, is that the ancient threat mentioned in the repository isn't just real. It's awakening, and the Empire's reckless use of the forbidden technology has accelerated its arrival. 1 month into the war, the Galaxy Empire is in disarray. Their initial defeat in the Sol system was supposed to be impossible. A minor species shouldn't have been able to repel the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. The Imperial Palace on Draxoria Prime glows with an ominous red light, reflecting the Emperor's rage as he addresses his war council. How are they prepared? Emperor Draxer thunders, his crystalline form pulsing with angry red light. How did they know our weaknesses? Grand Strategist Kell, ancient even by the Empire's standards, speaks carefully. Evidence suggests they've been studying us for decades, Your Radiance. While presenting themselves as diplomatic partners, they were analyzing our technology, our biology, our tactics. They're everywhere, adds Intelligence Director Mira, her holographic form flickering. We've discovered human agents embedded in 17 key Imperial facilities. They're using synthetic identities and biological modifications to pass as various species. The Emperor's light dims to a dangerous deep purple. Impossible. Our genetic scanners have been compromised, Mira interrupts, risking the Emperor's wrath to deliver the truth. Humans understand genetic engineering at a level we didn't anticipate. They've been hiding in plain sight, gathering intelligence. The Emperor's crystalline body vibrates with fury. Find them! Find them all. We're trying, Your Radiance, but their disguises are remarkably sophisticated. We believe they've been planning this infiltration for years, possibly decades. On the other side of the galaxy, in the heart of the Empire's most secure research facility on Zoraxis Prime, Dr. Thomas Reed carefully adjusts his appearance using the nanite-infused membrane covering his skin. To anyone looking at him, he appears to be a perfect specimen of a Zoraxian scientist. 6 limbs, iridescent scales, and compound eyes. Cellular degradation at 40%, warns the AI embedded in his neural implant. Genetic stability failing. Estimated time to detection 6 hours. I only need 2, Thomas subvocalizes, his modified vocal cords allowing him to speak both English and perfect Zoraxian simultaneously. He accesses the facility's central database, his genetically modified fingers interfacing directly with the crystalline computing matrix. After years of infiltration, he's finally reached the Empire's most closely guarded secret, the source of their technological advantage. What Thomas discovers confirms humanity's worst fears. The Empire hadn't developed their advanced technology independently. They had discovered an ancient alien repository and have been reverse engineering its contents for centuries, claiming the innovations as their own. More disturbingly, the repository contains warnings about a threat that prompted the ancient civilization's extinction, warnings the Empire has ignored in their quest for dominance. Copy complete, his AI confirms. Initiating exit protocol. As Thomas prepares to escape with the vital information, alarms suddenly blare throughout the facility. Security breach in Section Omega, announces a mechanical voice. All personnel initiate containment procedures. They've detected him sooner than expected. Thomas abandons subtlety and runs toward his extraction point, his human muscles giving him unexpected speed advantage over the Zoraxian guards. He reaches a maintenance airlock and activates an emergency beacon. Outside the facility, Captain Diana Miller of the stealth vessel Silent Arrow receives the signal. Extraction team, deploy now! We have a code red! As Imperial forces converge on Thomas's position, a small team of human operatives, all disguised as different alien species, burst through security barriers with weapons that specifically target the Empire's neural networks. The Empire's security systems, designed to detect energy weapons, fail to register the primitive but effective projectile weapons the humans are using. The package is secure. Diana reports back to Earth Command as her team escapes with Thomas and the precious data, but our cover is blown across all Imperial territories. Back on Earth, the Defense Council reviews the stolen information with growing alarm. The ancient threat the repository warned about isn't just real, it's imminent, and the Empire's reckless use of the technology has accelerated its arrival. We need to present this to the Galactic Council, argues Strategic Director Maya Patel. The Empire isn't just our enemy, they're endangering the entire galaxy. Admiral Donovan disagrees. The Council is still divided. Half of them believe the Empire's propaganda that we provoked this war. President Alvarez, who has aged visibly since the war began, makes the final decision. We take this to the people of the Empire directly. Their leaders have lied to them for generations. It's time they learned the truth. Operation Revelation begins, humanity's most audacious move yet. Using the infiltration networks already established, they prepare to broadcast the truth to every corner of the Empire simultaneously. As human forces prepare, the Empire launches a desperate counterattack. Not against Earth this time, but against humanity's outer colonies, hoping to force a surrender by targeting civilian populations again. Imperial fleet detected near Alpha Centauri, reports Commander Jackson. Their weapons are hot. They're targeting New Eden Colony. Admiral Donovan's voice is cold as she gives the order. Deploy the quantum shield. As the Imperial ships fire their planet-killer weapons, a shimmering field of energy surrounds the colony. The devastating beams that should have reduced the planet to molten slag instead dissipate harmlessly against the shield. On the lead Imperial cruiser, Admiral Vorex stares in disbelief. Impossible. Nothing can withstand that weapon. Before the Empire can fire again, Earth's hidden fleet decloaks around them. This time there's no mercy. The quantum phase weapons tear through the Imperial ships, leaving nothing but debris. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, human agents activate synchronized broadcast systems across the Empire. President Alvarez's face appears on every screen, in every home, on every Imperial world. Citizens of the Galaxy Empire, she begins, her expression somber but determined. Your leaders have lied to you. The war against Earth was initiated after they deliberately attacked their own nursery ships and blamed humanity. The broadcast shows the evidence, unaltered footage of Imperial ships firing on their own vessels, followed by the orbital bombardment of Earth's colonies, children's hospitals in flames, rescue workers pulling small bodies from rubble. But this deception is merely the latest in a millennium of lies, Alvarez continues. The broadcast shifts to show the ancient repository, proof that the Empire's claimed technological innovations were stolen, not developed. Most damning of all is the evidence about the ancient threat, entities the repository called the harvesters, interdimensional predators attracted to specific energy signatures generated by the Empire's misuse of the ancient technology. Your leaders have known about this threat for centuries, Alvarez explains. They've hidden it while endangering not just their own citizens but all life in our galaxy. Throughout the Empire, the reaction is immediate and powerful. On 17 core worlds, populations rise up against Imperial leadership. Military units stand down, refusing to fight for an empire built on lies. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Draxer watches his realm disintegrate. "Kill the broadcast!" he screams. "Deploy the dreadnoughts. Burn their worlds to ash." But his words echo in an increasingly empty throne room as even his royal guard abandons him. In a final act of desperation and spite, the Emperor activates a hidden protocol, a doomsday weapon designed as a last resort. "If I cannot rule," he declares to the empty chamber, "then none shall inherit." On Earth, President Alvarez receives the alarming news. The Emperor has activated something called the Nova Protocol, reports Admiral Donovan. Our agents report it's designed to trigger the simultaneous collapse of artificial singularities, powering key Imperial facilities. Casualties? Alvarez asks grimly. If successful, approximately 40 billion across 200 worlds. Humanity now faces an impossible choice. Let billions die, or somehow stop a sequence designed specifically to be unstoppable. In the Quantum Communications Center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Thomas Reed, now recovered from his mission to Zoraxis Prime, studies the Nova Protocol schematics with growing horror. "It's not just a weapon," he explains to the gathered leaders. "It's a key. The singularities aren't just power sources, they're doorways. The ancient civilization created them as a last defense against the harvesters. What happens when they collapse?" President Alvarez asks. Thomas's expression is grim. "According to these records, the resulting subspace fracture will tear open the barriers between dimensions. The harvesters will be able to enter our reality." The room falls silent as the true scale of the threat becomes clear. This isn't just about saving the Empire's citizens anymore. It's about preventing an extinction-level event that could consume the entire galaxy. "How long do we have?" asks Admiral Donovan. 24 hours until the protocol completes its sequence." President Alvarez looks around at the leaders of humanity. "Then we have less than a day to save a galaxy that until recently didn't even respect our right to exist." Her expression hardens with determination. "Get me a secure channel to every member of the Galactic Council. It's time they learned what their precious empire has been hiding." Across the stars, former enemies prepare to become reluctant allies against a threat greater than their differences. The war that began with the death of Chile. The Imperial Palace on Draxoria Prime has stood for 10,000 years, its crystal spires reaching toward the three suns that circle the planet. Emperor Draxer believed it impregnable, surrounded by defenses that could repel any fleet in the galaxy. He never expected the threat to come from within. "Your Radiance," a trembling advisor approaches the throne. "Something is happening across the Empire. Communications, they're being overridden." Before the Emperor can respond, every screen and holographic display in the palace flickers and changes. The Imperial insignia vanishes, replaced by the face of a human woman. "Citizens of the Galaxy Empire," begins President Elena Alvarez of Earth, her gray hair framing a face that shows both determination and compassion. "Your leaders have lied to you." The same message plays simultaneously across every world, moon, and station under Imperial control. In marketplaces and homes, in military bases and schools, billions of beings from hundreds of species watch in stunned silence. The war against Earth was initiated by your leadership after they deliberately destroyed their own nursery ships and blamed humanity. Elena continues. But this deception is merely the latest in a millennium of lies. The broadcast shifts to show evidence recovered from the ancient repository, proof that the Empire's claimed technological innovations were stolen, not developed. More damning are the records showing how Imperial leadership has systematically suppressed technological development among its member species to maintain control. On Tellurus, An Imperial mining world overseer Grax watches the broadcast with mounting horror. Is this true? He asks his assistant, who he suddenly realizes might not be what she appears. Every word, confirms the woman who had called herself Nala, but now stands revealed as Lieutenant Rosa Diaz of Earth Intelligence. Your leaders have been sacrificing your people for centuries. Throughout the Empire, similar scenes unfold as hidden human agents step forward, not as conquerors but as allies offering evidence that cannot be denied. The broadcast reaches its climax as President Alvarez reveals the ancient threat. The technology your leaders have recklessly exploited comes with a warning. The beings who created it were destroyed by entities they called the Harvesters, interdimensional predators attracted to specific energy signatures, the same signatures your Empire's ships and cities broadcast across the cosmos. In Imperial Fleet headquarters, Admiral Koros stares at his second-in-command in disbelief. You knew? All this time? Commander Velix, his most trusted advisor for 20 years, lets his disguise fade, revealing his human features. We tried diplomatic channels first. Your Emperor refused to listen. Why not just destroy us? Koros demands. You clearly could have. Because this isn't about conquest, Velix, whose real name is Commander Jason Foster, explains. The Harvesters are coming. We need every species, every mind working together if we're going to survive. Across the Empire, military units stand down as the truth spreads. On 17 core worlds, populations rise up against Imperial leadership. The revolution humanity carefully seeded unfolds with remarkable speed. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Draxur watches his realm disintegrate. Kill the broadcast! He screams. Deploy the dreadnoughts! Burn their agents out! But his words echo in an increasingly empty throne room as even his royal guard abandons him. The Emperor's final act is to activate a hidden protocol, a doomsday weapon designed as a last resort. If I cannot rule, he declares to the empty chamber, then none shall inherit. On Earth, President Alvarez receives the alarming news. The Emperor has activated something called the Nova Protocol, reports Admiral Donovan. Our agents report it's designed to trigger the simultaneous collapse of artificial singularities, powering key Imperial facilities. Casualties? Alvarez asks grimly. If successful, approximately 40 billion across 200 worlds. The Nova Protocol countdown echoes across every Imperial communication channel, 24 hours until artificial singularities across the Empire collapse, creating a chain reaction of black holes that will consume entire star systems. On Earth, an emergency council convenes with representatives from both humanity and the defecting Imperial forces. The detonation sequence can only be aborted from the Emperor's private vault beneath the Imperial Palace, explains former Imperial Admiral Koros. The security measures are extreme. Dr. Eliza Wright, Earth's leading physicist, studies the technical specifications of the Nova Protocol. These singularities, they're connected through subspace. If we can disrupt that connection, impossible, interrupts Koros. The network is self-stabilizing, not impossible, counters Eliza. Just unprecedented. Plan forms audacious even by humanity's standards. While a joint human-alien force will assault the Imperial Palace to reach the Emperor's vault, Dr. Wright and a team of specialists will attempt something never before tried, the creation of a controlled subspace fracture that might sever the connection between the singularities. On the EDS Defiant, Commander Victor Okafor leads a diverse strike team, humans alongside former Imperial soldiers from 6 different species. I never imagined fighting alongside humans, admits Thorax, a massive warrior whose species had been bred specifically for Imperial defense forces. And I never imagined I'd trust my life to someone with mandibles. Victor responds with a grim smile. Yet here we are. The assault on the palace is brutal. Emperor Draxur's loyalist forces fight with the desperation of those who know defeat means not just the loss of power, but accountability for centuries of crimes. Despite their superior numbers, the Loyalists find themselves outmaneuvered by the combined tactical innovations of the human-led coalition. As the battle rages, a smaller team infiltrates the subterranean levels of the palace. Leading them is Rosa Diaz, whose years of deep cover within the Empire have given her unparalleled knowledge of its most guarded secrets. The vault entrance should be beyond the next chamber, she indicates, checking the holographic map projected from her wrist device. They reach a massive door of unknown material that seems to absorb light. Quantum locked, explains their team's engineer, a former Imperial scientist named Zeth. It recognizes only the Emperor's genetic signature. Rosa smiles thinly. Fortunately, we came prepared. She produces a vial containing a biological sample. Courtesy of the Emperor's annual medical examination. Amazing what people discard as waste. Meanwhile, in orbit around Proxima Centauri, Dr. Wright's team prepares their experimental device, a modified gravity lens amplified to unprecedented levels. If this works, she explains to President Alvarez over a secure channel, we'll create a momentary fracture in subspace just enough to interrupt the Nova Protocol's synchronization sequence. And if it doesn't work? Asks the President. Eliza's expression is solemn. Then we've just given the galaxy front row seats to our failure. As the countdown approaches its final minutes, both teams race against time. In the palace vault, Rosa and her team fight. Through the Emperor's last defenses, autonomous, security systems designed to protect the abort controls. 10 minutes remaining, announces the protocol's automated voice in a desperate final stand. Emperor Draxer himself confronts them at the control terminal, wielding an ancient weapon that predates even the Empire. You think you've won? He snarls, his crystalline form pulsing with hatred. You've merely inherited extinction. The Harvesters were a myth, a story we created to keep the lesser species compliant. Rosa aims her weapon at the Emperor. You're lying. We've seen the evidence. What you saw was propaganda, created by my ancestors. The Emperor's laughter echoes unnaturally. There are no Harvesters. There is only power and those too weak to seek it. Before anyone can respond, the chamber shudders violently. On the view screens, they watch as Dr. Wright's device activates, tearing open a momentary rift in subspace. Now, Zeth, Rosa shouts. The Imperial scientist lunges for the control terminal, inputting the abort sequence. The countdown freezes at 3 minutes 17 seconds. The Emperor howls in rage and fires his weapon. The energy blast strikes Zeth, vaporizing him instantly, but not before the abort signal transmits. What happens next defies explanation. As the subspace fracture begins to close, something emerges from within it. Massive, non-Euclidean shapes that seem to exist in dimensions beyond normal perception. Impossible, whispers the Emperor, his weapon clattering to the floor. The beings, entities that match precisely the descriptions from the ancient repository, pass through solid matter as if it doesn't exist. One approaches the Emperor, who backs away in terror. You were wrong, Rosa realizes with horror. They are real, and we just opened the door. Across the galaxy, similar entities emerge wherever Dr. Wright's subspace fracture intersects with an Imperial singularity. The Harvesters have arrived, drawn not by the technology as everyone believed, but by the subspace disruption itself. In a final twist of fate, humanity's desperate attempt to save the galaxy has instead fulfilled the ancient prophecy. The Nova Protocol has been stopped, but a greater danger has just begun. As reports flood in from across former Imperial space, President Alvarez addresses the combined forces of humans and former Empire citizens. This is no longer a war between our peoples. This is a fight for survival itself. Former enemies now stand together against an incomprehensible threat. Throughout the galaxy, ships that were fighting each. The massive viewscreen on the bridge of the EDS Defiant shows the impossible. A harvester moving through the vacuum of space, its form shifting between states of matter in ways that defy physics. Commander Victor Okafor watches with a mixture of awe and dread as the entity engulfs an abandoned Imperial station. The metal and composite materials simply ceasing to exist as they come into contact with it. All ships maintain formation, Victor orders, his voice steady despite the existential terror before them. Remember, conventional weapons are useless. We're just buying time. The combined fleet, a mix of human vessels and former Imperial ships, forms a defensive perimeter around the Proxima Centauri research station where Dr. Wright works frantically to complete the dimensional barrier generator. How much longer? Victor asks over the quantum comm. We need another hour, Dr. Wright responds, her voice strained with exhaustion. The calibrations are incredibly complex. One mistake and we could make things worse. You may not have an hour, warns Captain Thorax of the former Imperial cruiser Dominance. 3 more harvesters have appeared in system. The entities move with a purpose that suggests intelligence, though of an order so alien it's barely recognizable as such. They seem drawn to energy sources, stars, power plants, and especially the artificial singularities that had powered the Empire's expansion for centuries. On the research station, Dr. Wright and her team of human and alien scientists worked to repurpose the ancient technology. The original builders hadn't created the singularities as power sources but as bait, and eventually as prisons for the harvesters. The ancients made one critical mistake, explains Zara, a defecting Imperial scientist. They created the binding technology but activated it too late, after too many harvesters had already crossed over. We can't make the same mistake, Dr. Wright nods grimly. That's why we're not just recreating their solution. We're improving it. The human innovation is elegantly simple yet profound. Instead of trying to force the harvesters back through the dimensional rift, they'll create a resonance field that makes our dimension inhospitable to the entities, essentially encouraging them to leave voluntarily. In the Imperial Palace Vault, Lieutenant Rosa Diaz guards the former Emperor Draxer, who watches the unfolding crisis with bitter amusement. You should have let the Nova Protocol complete, he says. At least then some worlds might have survived. That's not how humans operate, Rosa responds. We don't sacrifice billions to save ourselves. The Emperor's crystalline form vibrates in what might be laughter. Noble sentiments from a species that was ready to annihilate mine just days ago. We declared war because you killed our children, Rosa says evenly. But even then we showed restraint. We disabled your ships rather than destroying them. We gave your crews a chance to surrender. That's the difference between us, Emperor. You see power as an end. We see it as a responsibility. Their conversation is interrupted by an emergency broadcast. President Alvarez's face appears on screens across the former empire. Citizens of the galaxy, she begins, her expression grave but determined. The threat we face knows no borders or species. The harvesters are consuming entire systems and they're accelerating. Our scientists have developed a potential solution, but it requires your participation. She explains in simple terms how the ancient binding technology works and what every citizen can do to help. The plan is ambitious. Synchronized deactivation of all remaining singularity power sources, creating a momentary energy vacuum that will help direct the harvesters toward the trap. When the signal comes, every home, every ship, every facility must power down completely for precisely 7 minutes, Alvarez explains. Your lives depend on it. In orbit around Proxima Centauri, the situation deteriorates rapidly. The harvesters have increased to 7, then 12, then 20, each new arrival making the next easier as the dimensional barriers weaken. They're adapting to our weapons, reports Captain Thorax as the fleet's attempts to distract the entities become less effective. It's like they're learning. Commander Okafor makes a difficult decision. All ships prepare for Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega is a last resort, using the fleet's ships as sacrificial lures to draw the harvesters away from the research station. It's a suicide mission for those involved. I'll take point, Thorax volunteers immediately. My ship has the strongest energy signature. Victor shakes his head. We do this together, Captain. Human and Imperial ships in tandem. What follows is a desperate ballet in space as the combined fleet executes increasingly risky maneuvers to keep the harvesters' attention. One by one, ships are caught and consumed, their crews having only seconds to evacuate before their vessels simply cease to exist. On the research station, Dr. Wright receives the news that the harvesters are less than 20 minutes from reaching them. We need more time, she tells President Alvarez over the quantum comm. There is no more time, Alvarez responds grimly. You have to activate it now, ready or not. With trembling hands, Dr. Wright initiates the final sequence. Broadcasting galactic synchronization signal now. Power down begins in 3 minutes. Across the former empire, on millions of worlds, trillions of beings wait anxiously for the signal. When it comes, cities go dark, engines stop, and for 7 precious minutes, the galaxy holds its breath. The harvesters, suddenly finding most of their energy sources gone, converge on the one remaining beacon, the modified singularity at Proxima Centauri, now reconfigured as a dimensional gateway. They're taking the bait, reports the lone remaining scout ship. As the entities approach the trap, Dr. Wright activates the final phase, a cascading resonance pulse that propagates through subspace, making our dimension increasingly uncomfortable for the harvesters. What happens next is difficult to describe in human language. The entities seem to fold in on themselves, their non-Euclidean forms twisting into configurations that hurt the mind to observe. Then one by one they begin to withdraw, not through the prepared gateway but through rifts of their own making. "They're leaving," Dr. Wright whispers in disbelief. "It's working." Throughout the galaxy, the same scene repeats as harvesters abandon our dimension, drawn back to their own by the subspace resonance. Within hours, the invasion that threatened all life is over, but the cost has been enormous. 17 major systems completely consumed, hundreds of ships lost, billions of lives from dozens of species erased from existence. 2 days later, in the Great Chamber of the Galactic Council, the same chamber where Ambassador Marcus Reynolds had stood to declare war just weeks earlier, President Alvarez addresses representatives from across the galaxy, including many former Imperial worlds. "We stand at a crossroads," she begins. "The Empire as it existed is gone. The threat of the harvesters is contained, but not eliminated. What we build now will determine the fate of all our children for generations to come." Former Admiral Koros, now representing the liberated worlds of the Empire's core systems, rises to speak. "The humans have shown us a different path, one where power serves all, not just the few. We propose a new galactic compact, with humanity as founding members alongside our worlds." The council chamber, once the site of humanity's humiliation, now becomes the birthplace of a new order. The resolution passes with overwhelming support. In the aftermath, as worlds rebuild and new alliances form, Lieutenant Rosa Diaz visits the detention facility where former Emperor Draxer is held. "Have you come to gloat?" he asks, his once magnificent crystalline form now dull and diminished. "No," she responds. "I came to show you this." She activates a holographic display showing construction underway on New Eden, the first human colony destroyed in the Empire's attack. "Where our children's hospital once stood. We're building a memorial garden," she explains, "and beside it a new medical center that will treat patients of all species, including yours." The Emperor stares at the image in confusion. "Why would you tell me this?" "Because you need to understand what you never could before. Strength isn't measured by what you can destroy. It's measured by what you can create, protect, and heal." She turns to leave, then pauses. "The children you killed will be remembered, but so will the billions of lives, including your people's, that were saved because humans believe in redemption, not just revenge." 1 year later, Commander Victor Okafor, now Admiral Okafor of the Galactic Defense Fleet, stands on the observation deck of the new Galactic Cooperative Headquarters, built in orbit around a neutral star at the borders of former human and Imperial space. Beside him stands Captain Thorax, whose heroism during the Harvester Crisis earned him command of the fleet's flagship. Together they watch as ships from dozens of worlds arrive for the First Galactic Congress. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when your people declared war on the Empire?" Thorax asks. Victor shakes his head. "We only wanted justice for our murdered children. We never anticipated saving the galaxy." "Perhaps that's why you were able to do it," Thorax observes. "Your people fought not to conquer, but to protect." As delegates from across the stars gather to forge new bonds of cooperation, the lesson is not lost on any of them. The war that began with "you killed our children" has ended with a solemn promise to all the galaxy's children. Never again will power be valued above life. Never again will technological advancement come at the cost of wisdom and compassion.